Cam, what happened to Braden during the break? If you were watching our commercials, Braden he's featured prominently on Cam's promo. We're going to bring Cam up here in a little bit. Here in a little, right, Mike? We got to make some changes before. I'm still cooling off, by the way, after my Marcus Hayes segment. I'll tell a good story for you while we're waiting. Okay. I mentioned Phil Jasner being a legendary columnist and beat writer for the Philadelphia 76ers. So Phil burned me once, and this is the first time I've ever shared this story publicly. But he was Phil Jasner, so he had the right to burn me. I was a PR guy for the Sixers. I had obviously, you don't know this. I had worked for the Charlotte Hornets in public relations. Now, Larry Brown was in the Philadelphia 76ers front office. And so we had all the most recent like documents for Larry Brown, whatever, like bios. So my old boss at the Hornets sends me a message. It's April of 2009 or 8, probably. I think 2008. And the Sixers were in the playoffs. And so I'm getting ready for a playoff game. I get a message from my old boss. Can you send me Larry Brown's bio? Right away, I'm like, holy shit, the Hornets are going to, Bobcats at the time, they're going to hire Larry Brown. And then it's confirmed from said boss, like, wow, the Bobcats are going to hire Larry Brown, who's now in the Sixers front office. Like, nobody in the Sixers front office cares, right? Larry was probably more of a pain in the ass in that I guess he was like a consultant to Billy King, the GM. He would just walk in the office and be like, Michael Beasley is the best player I think I've ever seen in my life. He just couldn't, he wouldn't stop talking about all these players he would scout. He'd fall in love with them. So anyways, Larry Brown's going to be the Bobcats' next coach. Nobody knows. I'm in the media room. I see Phil Jasner. This is before a game. I tell Phil, dude, off the record, I got to tell you something. The Bobcats are going to hire Larry Brown. And Phil does one of these. He goes, like, wow, that's interesting. The kid's got something I'm interested in. So I'm like, off the record, Phil. Then the next day, we got another playoff game, okay? Getting ready. There's an article in the Charlotte Observer by, God rest his soul, Rick Bonnell, talking about how he's heard from sources that the Bobcats are hiring Larry Brown. I'm like, I start getting calls from my ex-boss. Like, yo, WTF, dude. Like, I'm going to kill you. You told someone about this? I'm literally like shitting bricks. And I go into the media room. I can barely see straight. And there's Phil again. And I say, Phil, dude, what the F? And he looks at me and he says, Pete, Rick needed the story. He's going through a divorce. Times are tough. I had to do it. And that was it. It was like, yeah, sorry, pal. In this case, I did the old risk reward. Like, sorry. So with that, let's bring in Cameron Stewart. Cam?
Yes.
By the way, I know you said off
the record, but
that's
too good a story.
I don't want to, I still don't agree with what he did, but that's too good a story.
So you side with Phil?
I guess no. I mean, not really. No, what he did was still wrong. If you say off the record, that is not supposed to be repeated to anybody. That's different from not for attribution, which I think a lot of people think is off the record. So no, but it's, I don't know, man. It's like telling your secret to that one friend who it's not going to stick with him. Like, I had a good friend growing up who just could not keep secrets, didn't want to, and I was like really close with him, and I knew that if I told him something, it was not going to be kept to just him. No matter how much I told him, dude, do not tell anybody. Please don't tell anybody. It wasn't going to happen. So it's kind of like that. So, I mean, no, I'm still on your side. When you say off the record, it's off the record. But it's too juicy. Man.
There was a really good story. And so what happened was, well, I didn't even want to get into the fallout because it actually isn't good. But I was okay. That makes anybody feel better. I would eventually
makes me feel better.
I would eventually work long and hard at completely sinking my own ship, but that had nothing to do with that. All right, so Cam, let's talk about it, dude. First of all, I'm starting to get pissed because now I'm seeing people write articles like, "Oh, like Baylor can win out. Oh, it's not off the table that Baylor can." It's like, yo, I said that 3 weeks ago. Okay, like, just so you know,
not everyone's inside the 12, Pete.
I just know. and you've helped me. Here's one big thing that I don't think people saw coming for this Baylor situation, because Baylor did a shit job of kind of telling us what. Well, I shouldn't say that. This isn't on Baylor. I take that back. But somebody, and I don't know who, didn't do a good enough job of letting everyone know how big a deal it was that some of their best players were hurt earlier in the season or hurt or out, because we didn't know why they were out. And we're not here to litigate why they were out, right? But like, there were a lot of very good players, Cam, who did not play in multiple games.
Right.
And those games were games that Baylor
against
lost.
Big teams.
Pardon me?
Against really good teams, too.
And Baylor lost those games, a couple of them by an eyelash.
Mm-hmm. So
now this is a team operating at full strength with a quarterback who is, wow, right?
Wow.
What did you see from, because I haven't talked to you about this game, and I've done it on purpose. What did you see from Sawyer Robertson on Saturday night?
Sawyer was fine. Good. First half, they weren't moving the ball in the passing game very well. In fact, it's one of the only stretches that I've seen since he's taken over as the starter where I don't want to say he was like really bad or anything. They weren't moving the ball in the passing game. But I mean, the story was the ground game. Bryson Washington, 4 touchdowns, 200 yards on the ground. And that has been a huge turnaround in this Baylor 3-game winning streak, is the fact they've been able to run the ball effectively. They have faced 3 teams who are in the bottom 6 or 8 in rush defense in the entire conference. So that's really helped them.
Throwing water on it.
That's really helped them. That's all I'm saying. And yeah, some people are like, oh, they played teams that stunk. It's like, well, no, you played a Tech team that was at the top of the conference when you
just
played
beat
them.
Iowa State.
And just beat Iowa State. You played them on the road. Oklahoma State, yeah, they're not that good. But you know, I think you had the point, like, proud program, you know, they're not just going to lay over, and they didn't. In TCU, that's a good football team. It's not a very good football team, but it's a good football team. And they came in here, they had a good game plan. They don't have any running game at all, and they're soft against the run, and Baylor exploited that. So it's not a bad thing that they exploited it, but I do think that's an interesting thing to look at, especially after the bye week. They play West Virginia, which is like the 4th best rush defense in the Big 12. So I just wonder.
They have a defensive coordinator too.
Yeah. And I just wonder, you know, because Baylor's offense is still good without that. Because even when they weren't running the ball well, they scored 38 at Colorado. They scored 28 against BYU after spotting them a 14-point lead. Like, I just think that helps them pick apart everything when they can establish the run. But Sawyer was putting up some pretty good numbers and keeping them in games when it had to be just him earlier part of the season too.
What did you think about some of the play calls down the stretch? It was interesting. I thought they took the keys away from Sawyer Robertson
in the final drive.
Yeah, well, they were running the ball a lot. I was like, wow, this is interesting. I thought, what did you make of that? I guess because honestly, and this is why these guys are coaches, and I'm not. I mean, the movement they were getting up front was pretty wild.
Yes, yeah, I'm okay with that. I was more worried about their clock management on that final drive.
Yeah.
They get the ball with 1:55 left. They've made 1 first down and there's 35 seconds left. Like, you had all your timeouts. You can't be taking 1:20 to run 4 plays. Like, that's just not wise. Even only needing any score. Yeah. You know, it's not like they needed a touchdown, so I'll give them that. But and quite frankly, Pete, I thought the 4th down call was stupid. I thought it was bad.
I like people with stick.
And if they missed it, we would be killing Dave Aranda for this.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
But they made it.
But they made it. And it goes from stupid to ballsy.
Yeah.
And Dave dragging those balls on the turf, man. I mean, that was so it was after that pass interference call that they picked up the flag. So the flag would have put them from the 44 to the 29. And I was thinking it's 3rd down. I look up. Actually, Mosley's telling me, he's like, they're not going to play this, right? They're not going to snap. It's 4th down.
Do you sit next to Mosley during the game?
Yeah. He's got the seat next to me.
Stop it.
Okay.
That's awesome. Do you guys
he leaves for like half the game.
Because he wants to talk to other people.
Yeah.
But he's there like, you guys, that's awesome.
Sweets. Yeah. We're in the same publication. Anyway.
That's awesome.
And I'm looking up. It's 4th and 9. And there's 20 or I think 16 seconds left. TCU's got 2 timeouts as Baylor goes to the line. I'm like, oh my God, like if they don't get this, TCU's one play from winning this thing.
Yeah.
Like they can run a play, call a timeout, kick a field goal. It's like 2022 all over again. And then TCU calls the timeout as Baylor's lining up. And I'm like, oh, okay, now they were just going to try and draw them off sides, maybe get them a little closer. It's not going to happen now. And then they ran out and put in the same formation, like the same motion, same guy. They empty the backfield and they run the play to Trigg, which gets them to the 29, which is exactly where the pass interference call would have gotten them. And then they run it for 13. That's what people forget.
Crazy.
They then run the ball.
Yes.
Bryson Washington will not go down. And I'm like, go down, go down.
Yeah.
5 seconds left. They're at the 16. And at that point, the game's over.
Yeah.
And so really, Pete, I put out on Locked On Baylor that Dave Aranda outcoached Sonny Dykes in this game. And it was not a full game thing. It was 2 plays. Because the coordinators call the plays, but the head coaches decide whether you go for it on 4th down. And with 10 minutes left, TCU had a 4th and 2 from Baylor's 46-yard line. They had scored on 4 straight drives. They would score on their only drive after that, and they punted. They punted on 4th and 2 from the plus 46. Dave Aranda goes for it on 4th and 9 from the plus 44.
I was shocked.
It favors the bold, man.
That is, yep. And I was shocked when they didn't go for it. And really,
even without a running game, I was like, they haven't covered you all night.
Yeah.
Why? It was mind-boggling to me. They did not go for it on 4th and 2.
I love
in a tie game
what's going on with Michael Trigg too. I mean, he is a matchup nightmare. And it was like, that was a guy who I was thinking to myself, they really would be better served to go to Trigg on this play than anybody else, because he'll get open. Like who's going to cover him? And that's what happened. I couldn't believe it.
And look, I don't, as I mature and get years and years away from college, I don't really like slamming individual players too much, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are still kids, right?
Yeah.
But it did feel good that Michael Trigg makes arguably the biggest catch of the game as your new starting tight end, when your starting tight end for the last 3 years transferred to TCU and has made no impact there. The rivalry in me.
Why did Dabney leave? Do you know? We're talking about Drake Dabney. Is there
new OC? I think there's a lot of like these guys who would go in as grad transfers, and with the COVID year, they might have a year or 2, but I think there's just something to these guys being like, all right, I've done my 4 years here. I've got my degree. Let's see if I can get a good situation here for the final year. I think
he was on that Sugar Bowl team, right?
Yeah. He wasn't really playing all that much, but like in Chapin, the quarterback did the same thing. And it's not even just like for a bad team. Like Baylor was a bad team last year. Like Dylan Gabriel, I think, was doing the same thing at OU.
Yeah.
And they were like, we want to go to the other kid. We want to go to there's OU to this too. They wanted to go to Jackson Arnold. And he was just like, okay, yeah, I'll do something else. I'll go somewhere else for a year. So I think there's some of that with grad transfers, but he wanted to play for Kendall Briles, I guess, who had a good game. Kendall had a good game. He did. They have no running game whatsoever. They are a completely one-dimensional team, and they killed Baylor in that one dimension.
What about this is a little inside baseball? Do you follow? You don't, but you don't get like KWTX alerts, right?
No. I used to.
So I still do
at a competitor.
I still do, one, because I'm affiliated with them and I love them. 2, because I just haven't changed it. And so I was getting these alerts and updates, and a few of them were Art Briles related
from the celebration. Yeah, I saw the video they posted.
I was like,
first off, is that push notification worthy?
I mean, and I could be wrong, but I do think I got a push notification. I know that if I opened up Twitter or something else from KWTX, they were talking about Art Briles. Okay, to the point where, and I'll say this, my former employer, I love KWTX. I was like, this is a little much. Yeah. Like, guy's back. I get it. He's not part of the celebration. But I was like, I get it.
Yes,
there was a lot, to the point where
it's not going to change anything.
I sent our old friend Darby Brown a message. I said, wow, KWTX going ham on the Briles coverage. And she's
like, wow, I haven't heard someone say go ham in a decade and a half.
But I thought that was a lot. I think it was cool that he was there. But clearly the players were on board too. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong because the player. By the way, what did CAB stand for?
Coach Art Briles.
Oh, okay. I was like Art Briles. I didn't
No, it was just.
know the C part.
It's like it was just like, but this isn't really like nothing's happening here. You know what I mean? Like we understand he's there. Like why is it was there was nothing contentious. There was no controversy with it.
Yeah.
Like why is this? And it was all over the place news wise. I was like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, totally. I thought it was.
And the players were doing some CAB stuff on the field, and it's like, obviously, man, like that's their coach.
Yeah.
You know, I get that 100%.
But how about this? You know what's so interesting, and you got to give Baylor the kudos for this. Like, this could have been a disaster of a weekend. Like, and 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, it looked like it might be in a sense where just bad PR. You know, the BS that college institutions and PR people have to deal with, right? Like, but it was the exact opposite. It was, your coach bought a suite for the team, and he out-coached, according to Cam, Sonny Dykes, and they got a huge win. Oh, by the way, they're third straight in the conference, third straight.
Mm-hmm. They went into the first bye week losing 3 in a row. They go into this bye week winning 3 in a row. How about that?
And they should win at West Virginia.
You say that.
We don't have a spread yet, but
they've never done it. They have never won in Morgantown, ever.
Yeah, but how many times they play there?
What, like 6 now?
All right, so 6.
It's something. Their best team, maybe their best team ever in 2014, talent-wise, did not win there. Only lost the regular season.
You'll appreciate.
They scored 63 points there and did not win.
To get an idea of how good those teams were, like I was like, I don't think that I'm remembering this correctly. How good the 2014 team was. And if you go back, Mike, just bear with me, all right? For 1 second. I know Mike's got to run out of here, but no, I just want to go through this schedule, okay? And some of the scores, Cam, as you know, are wild.
Yeah, I can give you some of them if you want.
Yeah, go.
Well, actually, I need the opponent. Give me the opponent.
Okay, SMU, game 1.
45-0. First game ever at McLean Stadium.
Game 2, Northwestern State.
70-6.
Yes. Game 3 at Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Khalil Mack for Buffalo. 63-21.
Yep. It's this Rain Man. I love it.
I wasn't even at the school at the time, by the way.
Iowa State, game 4.
Oh, 38-3.
49-28.
Damn.
Again, obviously Baylor winning. So then you go to Texas, right?
Yep, 28-7.
28-7.
Yep.
And then you come home, the rivalry with TCU, obviously 61-58.
Mm-hmm.
Now this was, man.
Is it the next week?
October 18th at West Virginia.
41-27 Nears.
41-27. They were ranked 4th in the country going into that game. They totally shit the bed.
Letdown.
A total letdown.
Yeah.
And West Virginia wasn't even ranked at the time.
Yeah,
and then you beat Kansas 60-14.
Yep.
Then
Homecoming.
At Oklahoma. You won at Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Now you go to win at Oklahoma in front of 85,000 people. 48-14.
14 all at halftime.
Then Oklahoma State. 49-28. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then Texas Tech. Now, this was a scary one.
This was a weird one. They won it. Oh, shoot. The RG3 year they beat him was 66-42. That's not this one.
48-46.
Yeah, they missed a 2-point conversion.
So they won. And then last game of the season.
Patrick Mahomes.
Last game of the season. This is awesome. Kansas State ranked 9th in the country. Baylor 6th. This is College Game Day is there. Baylor wins 38-27. So now they're in prime position to get into the playoff, but they didn't get in.
But thank you to Bob Bowlesby. Completely messed that thing up.
Why did Bob Bowlesby? Because he didn't have a conference championship.
Did not have a conference championship and didn't have a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So just gave both teams a trophy. Baylor and TCU. If only we knew, maybe if they just matched up against each other, we could see which one was better and deserved the championship.
But you did lose the Cotton Bowl.
Yes.
To 8th ranked Michigan State.
But in that, on the stage there, Art and Phil Bennett, the DC, were just ripping Bob Bowlesby. And Derek Smith, who's one of the nicest guys ever, is like doing the presentation. It's like picked up on his microphone. They're like yelling up and down Bob Bowlesby because there was like momentum going into that week of like Baylor should be, if they were the conference champion, they'd be in the playoff. But they're going to split it.
When did they give him the trophy? After the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. TCU beat Iowa State 55-3 earlier that day. So they had already won a share. They had announced it that week that it was going to be a share of it.
Man.
It's just horse shit, man.
It's not Brett. That now, hey, you can say
I saw Brett.
You can say,
talked to Brett
I told you he was
going
to be there. You can say loud and proud, this is not Bob Bowlesby's Big 12 anymore.
Well, he put a seed in bringing some of these new teams.
It is Brett Yormarks. All right. Pete Sousa show tomorrow. Cam Stewart actually precedes it. 11 a.m. Central Time. Mike Hamilton.
I
love Mike. See you guys tomorrow.